Overthrowing cricket's empire is just another cricket history book, but this time written from the other side. Get your copy today.
Hello, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Good Areas Live. I am your host, Peram Kazi, who you can find at Def Mango on Twitter. And with me, after a long time on Good Areas, is Rob Barron. He has returned. He has answered some of your prayers. You can find him at Monsieur Judge on Twitter. Rob, how does it feel to be back?
Well, we all know why I'm back, don't we, Bayram? It's because I'm angry and I've come out of my cryogenic chamber to watch England get dusted up again. I am many things. One thing I am not is surprised, but here we go. Otherwise, all good, mate. Thank you. How are you getting on?
I'm going all right. And of course, we're really excited to have you back on as well. Jarrod's in India on some book tour, or he's been invited to a sports literature festival. So I suppose you are the perfect substitute because we are here to review the first Ashes test in Perth. And before we get into all of that fun stuff, just like all of our viewers and listeners to know that all of our shows and podcasts on the Good Areas Network, they're powered by our supporters on Patreon. And you can become one of them by going to Patreon/Good Areas Podcast. And that way you can enjoy ad-free content. You can talk to us exclusively. You can also give us podcast recommendations. All right, then. On to the important stuff. Australia, Rob, have pulverized England in Perth. They've won the test match within 2 days and by 8 wickets. I'm sure that's left you feeling a lot of things?
Yeah, like I said before, I'm not surprised. Disappointed, angry. This feels like a lot of my school reports here. But basically, nothing enormously surprising happened in that test match. Being over in 2 days is surprising. 3 days wouldn't have been a surprise, would it? But 2 days is surprising. And once again, the manner of the defeat is, England find new ways to appall their fans. And the fact that they're coming out and pretty much saying that they don't care about their fans. They certainly dismiss the English media, which is fair enough. But they also dismiss the people that, it's not necessarily the people that are having lovely holidays in Australia. I've done that a couple of times. You don't really care if you lose the cricket. It's still a nice place to go. But all the people back home that are getting up when it's -2 degrees out of bed and watching terrible television coverage of this nonsense, they don't seem to care. They're like, oh, well, we're not going to practice before the next one. Why would we do that? It's just disappointing, mate, is what it is. You can go through all of them and they've kind of all got blood on their hands. I don't know why everyone seems to have given the bowlers a complete pass for the second innings, because 200 shouldn't have been a walk. And they just fed Travis Head exactly what he wanted over and over again. Like Jamie Smith did all right. Maybe sawn off a bit in the second innings, and the bowling in the first innings was great. But I'm not surprised. It's disappointing because that Australian team isn't particularly good. And we got properly stuffed.
Yeah, it was a thumping and 3/4, I suppose, because, none of us expected this test match to end within 2 days. But then again, there were some things which were really in England's favour. First, they win the toss, and then Ben Stokes actually elects to bat first. I suppose that's a surprise, right? Because he doesn't like to do that all too frequently. There you go.
Yeah, there were signs that England were becoming sentient when they batted first, right? Which is absolutely the right call. And how stupid England have become could be told by everybody's reaction to England doing the right thing at the toss, right? Widespread shock that England bat on the place where everyone wins when they bat first. It was the right thing to do. They didn't bat particularly properly. I love the extra aggression that England have, but there must be times where you drop down the gears when, second innings would be a prime example, when you're under it. And don't forget, Bayram, right? At lunch on day 2 of a test match, England are 100 for 1 in a one-innings game, right? England are really, really short price to win that game. 100 for 1 on a tough pitch to win a one-innings match now. And they didn't even last the day before they lost. And a lot of that is after lunch, and, an hour before most of England went to bed in disgust. They just played like idiots, and they wouldn't stop. They wouldn't stop being idiots. They just stay true to this. We're going to blast it. Look, Harry Brook, pretty lucky 50 in the first. He was backing away and leaving his stumps unguarded to Mitchell Starc on a tough pitch. he got a T20-50 in the first innings, fine. The only ball he bloody left got him out. Caught behind. What's he doing? Playing the drive. Third ball, was it? Second innings? What's that? Pope, I think Duckett probably got a good one, squared up by a good ball, second innings. But Pope, silly drive just after he's lost his partner. We don't have that many bats left. We've got lots of people that can whack it, but Brook has to behave here. Comes in, third ball, ridiculous drive when the bowlers are on top, chucking the test match away. And I can go into this for as long as you want, Bayram. England have a remarkable habit, a consistent habit of chucking important test matches in the bin. And this is a McCullum and Stokes axis of we're big, strong lads like playing golf, who cares? The fans care, right? The people of England care. And maybe cricket fans care that, you know, this team that apparently are meant to be good, apparently have got lots of good players. I'm not having it when you've got players like old man Khawaja, who's clearly on the very rapid downslope as far as his test career goes. Jake Weatherald, who didn't get in his Big Bash team 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Sure, it's different format and stuff. But if you said to me, Jake Weatherald and Khawaja were going to be opening for Australia in the Ashes, yes, please. And the bowling attack's got Doggett in, and it hasn't got Hazlewood in, and hasn't got Cummins in. There's an awful lot of positives for England on paper.
Yeah.
All they have to do is show some brains, just a normal amount of brains in the big moments. Like, no one massively remembers England getting shot out at home against Sri Lanka because we won the series. It's fine, right? No one really can get it. But Ashes, big deal for England, big deal. And England happily, historically, certainly since I've been watching cricket, fully dismiss everything else because the Ashes is so important. They change schedules, they move series around, they muck out in series, they do stupid stuff.
They retired Jimmy Anderson specifically for the Ashes with that in mind, right? There's that as well. And of course, you know, even with the advent of the World Test Championship, England are always kind of looking at test match cycles with the Ashes as the forefront or at the forefront, right? That's how they actually function.
Well, it's completely clear. You're dead right. It's completely clear that England don't care about the World Test Championship. So what we're told is the most important thing in Test, England definitely don't care about, because they almost deliberately lose points in that, Bayram. They deliberately muck about with the over rates and stuff just to stick two fingers up at the ICC. Reminder that Ben Stokes, Captain Fantastic, he tweeted, right, good on you, ICC, when England lost points for slow over rate with a load of emojis that were shrugging. That literally means we don't care. Like, we don't care about the World Test Championship. They could have done loads of stuff to make sure they didn't drop those points. So they don't play in the marquee event, the World Test Championship, at Lords, where they should have an advantage. And South Africa certainly cared when they won it this time, didn't they? You know, I was there. It was great.
I mean, what's remarkable is that South Africa at the start of that cycle didn't care. They threw away that series versus New Zealand, and still they won the World Test Championship. But it's funny how, you know, a lot of things went England's way. Of course, they win the toss. Ben Stokes makes the right call of batting first. I feel like even though overrate might have been a concern, but because we always knew that pace and bounce was going to be a feature at Perth, England go in with an all-pace attack. They play both of Bryden Carse and Gus Atkinson. They don't give Shoaib Bashir the game. And then that's just the stuff that they've gotten right or has landed in their favor. If you kind of look at Australia, I mean, Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins are not available for this test match. That's a massive blow. You talk of Starc, Hazlewood and Cummins as, you know, one of the best bowling or fast bowling trios of all time in test cricket, and two of those guys are absent. Starc, of course, doesn't make that, you know, an issue. He delivers, you know, tenfolds. But it's fascinating that despite having obvious advantages, England were obviously very well suited to these conditions given the, you know, kind of fast bowlers they had at their disposal. Then Australia not playing Bo Webster, who I think at least should have played. They're going in with Weatherald as the opener on debut, making sure Marnus bats at 3. But none of that happens, of course, because Khawaja is off the, scene at the end of the first inning. So he can't open the innings in the first innings. And then, you know, later on, he's injured, so he can't open at all. So all of these things go in England's favor. and yet they completely like get dismantled. They were blown to smithereens, and it's the manner of defeat which I feel more than an actual result, which obviously is in Australia's favor, and it will, haunt England, because both Jarrod and I were of the opinion that England really need to win the Perth test if they wish to stand a chance in this series, right? And you've got Gabba up next, and it's a pink ball test at the Gabba. I know Shamar Joseph and the West Indies defeated Australia in a pink ball Gabba test, but it's still Australia's fortress, right? And you expect them to win that test match. And now England are saying they don't want to practice with the pink ball because, I don't know, golf might be more important. It all just sounds very, very bizarre. And, a lot of English fans have traveled for this Ashes series. Of course, the Optus Stadium was packed to the rafters both days. Unfortunate for those people who bought tickets for days 3 and 4 at least. Maybe not for a lot of day 5 ticket holders, but those guys will probably just head to Brisbane now. It is one of those scenarios where you feel that the psychological blow from this loss might just mean that this Ashes could be over before it even began.
Yeah, that's the fear. Side note to that, a couple of my mates had corporate tickets, VIP tickets for day 3. They chose day 3 because that would be the best day to go. So that is at least funny that they can't go to that. However, in the 0-5s, which we're quite good at, we've won 0 tests in the last 3 series down there. The common thing is there's been a test, sometimes more than one, a test where we absolutely definitely should have won. We throw it in the bin. The Ashley Giles catch is in my head. We throw it in the bin and that's it. The wheels come off. Trott goes home because he doesn't like it. Swan jumps off the ship. All that stuff, right? These are good cricket teams that we've had in the past that have been absolutely stuffed out of sight. The team that won 3-1 went back and lost 5-0. The huge danger that happens now. Personally, I think the Oz team has got enough holes in it that England are still, even with the stupid way they play, there's still a chance of battering them in a game. They've got some great bowlers, England, and they've got, if they get a pitch that they quite like, then they're a real danger to a team that's carrying 4 players at the moment. Hazlewood apparently is still crocked, and Cummins is not a certainty to play. And if he does, he's not a certainty to come back and be brilliant. But there's still hope, but there's not much. I mean, it's that thing, Bayram, of England's staunch tradition, right? I said they don't care about the World Test Championship. They say that that's okay because we really care about the Ashes. We do everything. They don't do everything to the Ashes. They let people muck about playing in all these stupid leagues, right? When they're on contracts of north of £1 million to play test matches, they're all buggering about playing in random T20s. Let me just talk you through a little bit, if I may, of the McCullum Stokes era of throwing away important test matches, right? I remember the first series, I think it was, New Zealand. Joe Root, first innings, Joe Root is 150 odd not out, and we're 8 down in the first innings. 2-match series. England declare for no reason. Lost the test match by a single run. Declared in the first innings with Joe Root 150 not out, 2 wickets in hand. Lost by a single run, drew the series, right? So that's a series chucked in the bin because England declared in the first innings. So they learnt their lesson really well for that. Really important. Really, really important series. Ashes at home. Now, I'm not having it that they don't care about the Ashes at home. What do they do in the first test, Bayram? A really important series. They declared in the first innings, 8 down with Joe Root 100 not out. Absolute and complete madness. Lost the test match. Then India, India, brilliant series. Loads of stuff happened this summer, just gone. 5th test, we were what? Series completely on the line. 170 for 3, was it? 175 for 3. Didn't even get 250 first innings. And then second innings, we were 300 for 3, chasing 375 or something. 300 for 3. Test match in the bin, mucking about, playing stupid shots. Nobody takes responsibility. So the pattern is they will not learn from their mistakes. And then they come out after and they go, we're not learning from our mistakes. How dare you suggest that we do? We love playing golf. If you don't like playing golf, you're not coming in, right? We haven't even spoken about Crawley yet. And then the thing where they've done the double fingers up to the media this time and all the fans was, okay, you've got an extra 3 days off, right? Because you're rubbish at cricket. So you've got 3 extra days off. You didn't prepare for the series by playing matches over there. Blame the schedule if you want. You played an intra-squad game where the bowlers played against the B team and the batters batted against the B bowlers, right? Great. Well done, everyone. they've put on a pink ball game for you. It's only 2 days, bat once, bowl once, right? 2 days. You've got 3 extra days off. You can play 6 rounds of golf if you want. Play in that one, right? Play in it. Australia are what, 13 out of 14 in pink ball tests, and England are 1 out of 5 or something.
Yeah.
We know Australia are unbelievable at pink ball, and we know Shamar turned up and did something ridiculous, the only one they lost. Tell me, like, come up with a theory as to why playing in that game is a bad idea for the England team.
I mean, look, there's a lot about baseball that I like, but I feel like it was also the biggest culprit on the surface. But before we go on break over here, the only question I have for you is that it has been reported to us multiple times that when Zach Crawley fails, Ben Stokes and Baz McCullum award him with a whiskey and a cigar. So when he bags a pair, is that like 4 whiskeys and 4 cigars? How does that work?
Well, Crawley is the one that shouldn't be in the team, right? Based on all common sense and numbers, and people that watch cricket. I mean, what did he do in this test match? Anyone can get a low score in a test, right? It's really hard. Test cricket is really hard. But he was an accident waiting to happen in the first over of the series, right? He played a reasonably solid shot off the first ball that didn't do anything. It wasn't hooping around corners, bear in mind, but didn't do anything. He just pushed it to point or somewhere. And he got fed up after 5 dots. That's what happened. And he just did a stupid drive to slip because he'd been kept quiet for 5 balls. And yes, he got the most runs for England, don't forget, in the last Ashes. Yeah. And he smashed the first one through the covers for 4, right? Great shot, wide ball, got rid of it, lovely. And he was like, I'm going to do that again. And Starc bowled a good over. And by the 6th ball, he was fed up. 6 balls in a test. You've got 5 days if you want them. And he just had a swish. And the second one, again, in the first over, you think, let's have a look. What was that shot? What was it? Was it a defensive shot in the air back to the bowler? Like, what was it? Was it a push down the ground for 4? I don't know what it was. But that guy, you don't have to delve very far into the numbers. He shouldn't be there. But he is. He's got a really rich dad. He's mates with Rob Key. He likes playing golf, and they like playing golf with him, right? And he's been at Kent for ages. So he plays for as long as he wants. It's almost a running joke that he plays all the time. There are people that could play instead. England will not consider them. I think if they were to take him out of the firing line now, that would be extreme cowardice. Like, you've got to give him the series after all you've said, haven't you?
I mean, look, Crockett as a pair has kind of done well as well, but I see your point over here. But I mean, it's just madness, the manner in which they bat and kind of give away the position of strength when they clearly should be capitalizing. Of course, there's lots to talk about still, but we shall be taking a short break. You guys are watching Good Areas Live with Behram and Rob Barron. And don't go anywhere because we will be back in like half a minute.
Ross Taylor couldn't see at night or when the clouds were in. Eventually, he had to see an eye specialist who would fix his eyesight. In the 2 years before the change, he still averaged more than 50 in international cricket. The top level of batting talent can basically see in the dark. That is who we are talking about in our new book, The Art of Batting. Head over and order your copy today. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.
Welcome back to Good Areas Live. You guys are with Behram and Rob, and we are reviewing the first Ashes test at Perth, in which Australia gave England an 8-wicket mauling within 2 days. And, you know, the pitch came up in conversation a lot, at least on day 1 it did. And especially after the Kolkata test, you know, tempers were flaring and I saw a lot of rubbish online. Look, my assessment of the pitch was that, yes, there was pace and bounce, which you expect from Perth. If there's one surface in the world which is synonymous with pace and bounce, whether it's the WACA or it's the Optus, it's got to be Perth, because we know Western Australian soil offers you that. But Rob, 19 wickets fell on day 1. At most, you'd think that 13 or 14 wickets would fall. And then again, sure, whatever has happened in the first 2 innings of the test match. England are solid. They're 65 for 1, right? Before they collapse. They are in excess of 100 runs in the lead. And then you just see some stupid shit. Everyone's just edging out, right? And Bazball, like, I was actually of the opinion on day 1 that that 49 run lead is because England play faster than Australia. They play lesser overs than Australia, have scored more runs. Sure. But, we thought this was baseball with brains. This was baseball 2.0. In fact, I was convinced that we had gotten there. But no, that wasn't the case. It was an epic collapse, which was somewhat saved by that partnership between Gus Atkinson and Brighton Cast, right? Without those runs, this would be over maybe perhaps at tea, if you think about it. And if you look at that batting card across both innings, something must have seriously gotten wrong if the most amount of runs scored by any English batter, that honor belongs to Ollie Pope, 46 and 33. And, he was set as well both times. Then there was only one half-centurion in Harry Brook who scored 52 in his first dig, but then he was out for a very poor duck in his second dig. I mean, this was just lousy batting at the end of the day. I don't think the conditions did them. Sure, there was pace and bounce, but for the most part, there was consistent pace and bounce, right? It's not like a minefield where there's variable bounce. Surely someone in that dressing room should have said that, all right, guys, we've lost a couple of wickets over here. Time to consolidate. We need to ensure that we give Australia a target in excess of 300. We cannot let this test match slip, because this is how we make a statement. And by going 1-0 up, that's how we kind of solidify our chances or shots at perhaps, pulling off something incredible down under after 15 years.
Yeah, it's so infuriating because the game is there to be won. But the game with England, the trouble with on the flip side of that is the game is also always there to be lost when you play like England do, right? So they've got into the winning position. They're 100 for 1 in a one innings game on a difficult pitch, and you're bang on. There was lots of bounce, right? Because you're playing at Perth, and that's okay because there's always bounce when you play at Perth. It wasn't a shock. Yeah. It wasn't variable bounce, which is what gets everybody out, right? It's okay to readjust to something where the bounce is much higher than it normally is, right? Duckett is now playing balls at his head rather than normally they're at his chest or whatever, right? Fine. It wasn't variable. It wasn't the odd one shooting low. It didn't spin even a tiny bit. There was no evidence of that. And England got to, but again, we went through a bit of the history of baseball or whatever. There's never any chance of brains happening here. There's been so many games that England have thrown in the bin in this era and then come out and said afterwards, we don't care. So you can ask us why we threw it in the bin and we're going to say we don't care. So that's fine. We're playing golf tomorrow. See you later. But look at it. The second innings, right? 100 for 1 at lunch. Lost the test match with time to spare in the day. Beaten, let's not forget, by somebody playing exactly the way that England want to play. Exactly the way, right? Travis Head. The other thing that no one has mentioned, right? Travis Head can do you. Travis Head is the sort of person that every English player wishes they were, right? He mucks about and doesn't score any runs outside of the important games. What is he? One score of 40 plus in his last 20 knocks. Doesn't score any runs. He gets drunk on golf courses all the time when he's not playing cricket, right? You can say allegedly if you want, but he does. And has a great time of it and is a bit of like an Aussie legend. Then he turns up to big games, World Test Championship final, man of the match, World Cup semi-final, man of the match, World Cup final, man of the match. He brings it when they need him, right? First innings, everybody said, well, that was a bit rubbish. He's Travis Head spent. Second innings wins the match on his own, right? It's okay to be done by Travis Head because he's awesome. That's okay. What is not okay on that pitch is that Marnus Labuschagne scores a runnable 50. That is not okay. That is not acceptable, England, in the second innings, right? No one's mentioned that.
I mean, yeah, it is really remarkable that, as you mentioned, England are 100 for 1 effectively at lunch. And then they just bottle the game in 2 sessions. Australia literally snare away with victory in 2 sessions and that's where the psychological blow element comes into all of this, because 205 was chased by Australia in a test match where no other team got 200 in 28.2 overs, right? Like Trav ball thumped Baz ball. And we'll get to Head in a bit, but your point is phenomenal over here that Marnus Labuschagne scores his 50 in 49 deliveries. He's unbeaten or walks back unbeaten on 51 or 49. You know how ridiculous that is? Sure. Full credit to Marnus for following the process, doing his due diligence, going back to Shield cricket, red ball cricket, scoring ton after ton, making Steve Smith proud. But this is still the guy who hasn't scored runs in international cricket for quite a while. He comes and he slams the sort of 50 that you would want to slam, right? 49 ball 50, and he's unbeaten on 51 or 49 at the end of the day. England want to be this team, and they have been defeated in that exact same manner within 2 days. And how do you even recover from that? There's this piece up today I think it was by the Guardian, in which they speak about how Mark Wood is traveling to Brisbane earlier because that dressing room was in shambles. Well, I mean, Ben Stokes was shell shocked. He admitted to that. How do you recover from this? And ultimately, it's going to be a test of England's character, whether they can or not, because as you correctly pointed out, Australia still have holes. Their batting lineup is still fragile. Cummins and Hazlewood are still injured. So, I mean, this is, I suppose, the final frontier then? Like, ultimately, we're going to know now whether England have it in them or not?
Well, what's Stokes played now in Australia? 9 tests, because he wasn't allowed to play 1 Ashes because he was, under investigation or whatever, right? So he's played 9 tests, 1-0. And Joe Root, best of a generation, in the conversation for best ever for England, 0 out of 15. 15 test matches in Australia, 0 wins. And he's unbelievably good at cricket. What England need to do is the thing that they definitely won't do is a bit of humble pie, right? Have a bit of humility, use some brains and chill out. Sure, you've got 3 extra days off, remember. Go and practice with a pink ball under lights where it moves around loads. Both of you, bowlers and bats. Bowlers didn't do that much bowling, which is great for England's long-term series chances. And the batsmen, because they're stupid, didn't do much batting. So now go and do some of that. But yeah, 100 for 1. What you need there, right? And the thing is with Australia, you've got my favourite bit of that test as an England fan was watching Marnus and Smith proper struggling with that Archer and Wood early, particularly Jofra. They just didn't know what to do. And Smith's brain broke, actually. I don't know how Archer's never got him out, but Smith suddenly, it wasn't like, oh, we've survived this 10 overs somehow. Smith was flailing above his head. He was playing all sorts of stupid shots. He totally lost his shit. He really did. But what that team has got, if you look through the Australian batting order, you've got guys that can tonk it miles and take a game away from you, Head and Carey, and to some extent Cameron Green. And you've got guys that, if you need them to, can really dig in when it's horrible, which is Marnus and Smith and Khawaja to some extent. Whereas England have just got 11 idiots, right? Who are like, we're going to... And Root used to be that guy who would go, I'll stand up and take the responsibility. And Stokes is capable of doing it. Since McCullum took over, he doesn't do it anymore. But he is capable of doing it. He did it at Headingley famously. He's capable of soaking up a whole session or 50 overs if you need him to, right? He's one of the best blockers ever, Ben Stokes. But he won't do it for this team because they're all lads and they like playing golf, pretty much, right? They like whacking the ball. So they get to lunch. Somebody, rather than saying, we're sticking to our method, so never mind, you might have a different one, let's go out and whack it and see how many we get. When you've lost that wicket straight after lunch, right? Pivotal session of not just the test match, but the Ashes. And it's not too much to say, Baron, for generational talent that has played 15 games and lost 15 games. Career defining moments, right? That bit after lunch. We've just lost a wicket. Duckett's gone to a good ball. That's okay. It's a test match in Australia. That's okay. We're 2 down now for 100. What do we do? Pope, best bat in England, like the first test match, our best batsman. He was smashing green all over the place in the first innings, and then he missed a straight one. But then a stupid drive just after Duckett's out, right? So now we've got 2 new bats in instead of 1. That's not sensible, right? That's really dumb. We've now exposed 2 new bats to bowlers with their tails up instead of 1 wicket in isolation. Stokes comes in. I think maybe Stokes just can't play Starc. I think it's as simple as that. Starc's got him 11 times now. He's only played 14 innings or something. So the other thing is Stokes always blames the universe when he gets out, right? Looks at the pitch. He's just played a drive and missed the ball by 3 feet. And then he looks at the pitch and looks at the heavens and it's somebody else's fault. Take responsibility. Nobody even thought about taking responsibility, right? So then Brook has to come in. The guy that got 50 in the first innings, so he's all right on the pitch. 3rd ball, booming drive, bye-bye, like nicked off. What the hell is that? That's unforgivable.
I mean, then, I'll tell you what was up. They were too used to the driving range. That's why they wanted to drive everything.
Well, this is it. Right? That's all they're bloody doing is driving, right? But sometimes, like some of the great test match innings that you can go back and think of, almost all of them have had that bit where they're really under it and they put certain shots away, right? They go, we're not playing this shot. Yunus Khan's done it. Sachin's done it. We're not playing this shot because you're going to get me out if I play it. So the drive goes away for an hour, right? Until we're back in front. 2 hours, 3 hours. You've got 3.5 days left of the game. You don't have to play the drive. So instead, the guys that might be able to knuckle down, Root, Pope, Stokes, Brook, right, in that middle order, they're your batsmen. Smith is Gilchrist, isn't he? Smith's really good at being Gilchrist at the moment. He's got 26 sixes in 26 innings, I think, Smith. And he's looked proper good since he's come into the England setup. Let him play that way. Okay, that's fine. That's what he does. He's really good at it. No problem. And Atkinson and Cass, their best chance of being successful bats for England is by standing there and hoofing it. No blame for them. They got 50 between them, didn't they? 50 something between them. No blame for them whatsoever. They did what they're meant to do. But everyone moans at them for getting caught, deep backward square, and then he tried to flick it over the slips, didn't he? Or flick it over the leg side and got caught behind cars. They moan at them for that. It's like, no, those guys should do that, but they should have a platform from the guys before, rather than watching those three idiots be stupid, and then they come out and have to do all. Bear in mind, they were doing all the bowling 2 hours before.
True.
They're just clowns, and they will forever be clowns. But I do. This is the trouble with these sods, is they still give you hope. And I think a lot of that is down to the fact that they can chase anything on their day and on their pitch. And the fact that at least 4 of those Aussies, and if there's a pitch like this, Lions' threat has gone, because England will just dump him into the stands if he's going to bowl on pitches like that don't spin at all. There's still a chance for England, but for them to come out, Stokes came out with his dummy already spat out and his toys were already out of the pram before they'd ask him a question. To come out on that much of the front foot against the media, saying, I've already answered your questions, we are going to do this. And they said, we're putting connectivity and camaraderie, right, in ahead of practice for the second test of the Ashes. That's a direct quote. So they would rather have a load of fun together. Like, we can have a load of fun together, Bayron, because we're not playing in the Ashes. And I can go to the pub with my mates if I want to, because I'm not playing in the Ashes. If I was being paid £1 million a year to play in the Ashes and I was crap in the first test, I would practice before the second one. Right? There's no
Maybe, Rob,
hell?
you and I can go play that pink ball game, right? And they can hit the pubs. I think there should be a role reversal over here.
I could do what Crawley did. And get 0 twice and look like an idiot while I did it. But to come out, and that's the thing that pisses me off, is they come out and go, like, we can lose a test match, and anyone can lose a test match against a good team from anywhere. We've seen some remarkable tests. I mean, look at how India have got on recently, losing 3-0 at home, and they're losing again to South Africa, and they're not winning series that you would expect them to. Anyone can lose a test match, but to literally come out after the game and say, we don't care what you've got to say, it's up to us how we do it. Will all the heads roll if this is 5-0 again? If we go another series without winning a test in Australia, there should be at least 3 of them gone. Crawley, McCullum, Stokes. Key can't just sit there and go, well, the lads can do whatever they want. It's pretty depressing. However, if you'd have called me up and we'd have done a podcast at lunch on day 2, it would have been like, well, this is fun, isn't it? We managed to bowl about 400. It's fine.
You should go and watch that third innings that Jarrod and I did after day 1, and we were quite excited for England. And look, there's no doubt about the fact that they've squandered an opportunity over here. They should have won this test match because they were in pole position too. You obviously are always looking at the odds and stuff. I'm sure England was strong or heavy favourites at one point, right? Like, even at the start of this test match, before a single ball was bowled, I cannot imagine Australia being heavy favourites with everything that was not going in their way. So
basically, the odds before the game started was pretty much 60-40. The draw was a rain bet, right? If you're betting on the draw. And then even when Australia are coming out to chase 200, they were only 2 out of 3. They're only 66% then to knock the runs off. And that looks like a gift now, doesn't it? When they chased it in 28 overs. I had to look at that again, because I didn't believe the number that came into my brain. They chased 200 in a game where no one's managed to get anywhere near that in the first 3 innings in 28 overs, Bayram.
Yeah, 28.2 overs is what? 30 overs is 180 deliveries. So 170 deliveries. They've chased down 205 and 170 deliveries. There you have it. And there's this lovely super chat from Samit Khan. He asks, how does anyone ever recover from Marnus's double-handed forehand slap sailing for six? I mean, that's a fantastic question.
It's a great question. So that's the thing that I wanted to bring up today when I was talking about this, because I have read a lot and listened to a lot since the test match finished, because I'm a glutton for punishment and I'm sick in the head. But that's the thing that no one mentioned, the fact that guy got a run of ball 50, the guy that hasn't scored any runs in tests and even high level stuff for a while, and he got into this horrible bit where he was totally stuck again, like the old Marnus that never played any shots. And that's what he did in the first innings, where it was like, what did he get in the first innings?
Well, he was leaving the ball hit his glove, and then he was bowled. But, well, also I'd like to touch on the fact that day one, we saw some ridiculously good fast bowling. I mean, it was seriously fast, right? That spell from Mark Wood was, all of those deliveries were north of 150 clicks. Mitchell Starc continued to hit 140 plus. Jofra Archer was also quite fast. But day two, I saw Jofra bowl some military medium bullshit as well, right?
Yeah, that's a huge concern. So Jofra is somebody that hasn't played very many test matches, and he's 30 years old now, Jofra, isn't he? Yeah, he's 30 years old, and they've managed to get him on the park for 16 test matches, and he could have been anything. I'm not going to go on about, because I always go on about how they bowled him into the ground early in his career in drawn test matches that England couldn't win and injured him. So England are now reaping what they've sown with Jofra. His first spell is as good as anything I've ever seen. His first spell when he's fit and firing. I don't just mean in this, I mean in anything. Like some of those T20 spells he was rolling together at the start of the innings. The one against South Africa sticks in my head, where they just couldn't land the bat on him. He's that good, Jofra. But Starc, whilst his pace went down a little bit, he was almost a one-man attack, Starc, at spells in that test match. And England just kept contributing to his numbers, but he got 10 wickets. He probably got 5 of them with good balls and 5 of them with silly shots. But Jofra's pace going down, as you rightly point out, is a big worry for England.
Yeah.
Because
I suppose that's one of the major questions that we had before the Ashes as well, is that how many of these test matches can Wood and Archer play? Because you would expect Pride and Cast to be that warrior sort of guy who even plays through injury. And, Gus Atkinson is someone who is more method than pace, I would say so. Like, he will try to get seam off the deck, and he's got that scrambled seam delivery as well, which, by the way, Starc uses brilliantly in this test match. So, yeah, there are a few things that are still question marks, but I really hope England do show us some fight and kind of, come out and display some character.
You're right, Bayram. The bowling second innings was so dumb. And when Marnus was doing the double-handed forehands, it was because he knew exactly what was coming. And Head's interview afterwards, which was quite funny, they said, did you think you were going to get bombed? And he said, yeah, obviously. But they let me face a few first. And when I was in, they started bombing me. That's not the time to do it. When he knows exactly what he's getting. And he was putting like 2 balls and over to the fence for 4. 2 and over, not like the odd one, not the lucky streaky edge and everyone's up. They had a plan, and this is the other infuriating thing about England, is they have a plan and they see in front of their eyes that it's going wrong. And when they're chasing 200, you don't have much time to recover if you've got something wrong. You can recover, you've got to move quick, right? You've got to use your brains, change your tactics, change the field, change the plan. The plan was we're going to bomb them. And it didn't work. Very obviously didn't work. And you can allow for a Travis Head doing amazing things and go, we just got done by a great innings. But when Marnus is smashing you for 4 every over, stop it. Stop bowling short. Like, change your length. Do something better. And they just didn't even think to. So they bowled brilliantly in the first innings, England. And the superlatives that were coming out after that performance were justified, right? They bowled them out for 130 odd. I didn't think there was much in it in the first innings. I didn't think England should have got shot out for 170 or 175, whatever it was. But that second innings bowling performance was, the pace of our best guy went down because his body isn't conditioned to play Test cricket. That is a huge worry for England. So now Australia have seen, if we manage to survive, they'll notice this stuff, Australia. If we manage to survive that first spell and that second spell, he ain't Jofra when he comes back for spell number 3 and number 4 and number 5. So Australia will know that. But to just watch them, I mean, even Weatherall was playing okay shots. I didn't expect him to get a run this series. He got 20-something. And he got a standing ovation when he walked off for 20. That's where England have got to now. They're just making a mockery of themselves. And I don't mind if England gets stuffed. I've watched England get stuffed most of my life. I don't mind. I went over there when we lost 5-0. It was, gallows humor and all that. It can be quite funny. But they're trying. That's okay. When you watch your team try, it's all right. If you watch your football team lose 5-0 and they've all run themselves into the ground and done their best, okay, you can't really moan at them. But when they sit there with their hands on their hips laughing, that's when it becomes a difficult experience for the fans.
Absolutely. All right, more on that after a short break. You guys are watching Good Areas Live with Behram and Rob, and we'll be back in like half a minute, so go nowhere.
I once made a pair in a club game, which is almost impossible to do. But I've been obsessed with batting my entire life. And so I put that into my new book, The Art of Batting. Being that I'm not very good at that skill, I decided to talk to other people who were. So I hit up as many contacts as I could just to talk about batting. Raul Jarrod, Brian Lara, A.B. de Villiers, Kumar Sangakkara, Ross Taylor, Susie Bates, Nasser Hussain, Ian Chappell, and so many more. I wanted batters to talk about how they and their friends made runs, because that is the art of batting.
Welcome back to Good Areas Live. You are with Behram and Rob, and we are reviewing Australia's thumping of England in the first test in the Ashes at Perth. All right, so we were discussing England's bowling. Brilliant in their first bowling innings, of course, that opening bowling spell of Jofra and Mark Wood. It was lethal. And also, of course, Bryden Cast. I think he actually does all right? I mean, you'd give him his numbers, provide some relief with the bat. And what were his figures? 3 for 45 in the first innings and 2 for 44 in the second bowling innings. I think that Cast was the only bowler who kind of gets wickets throughout. And then Jofra at the start was good with his 2 wickets. And then Stokesy, of course. So this is funny. Day one, I'm watching the test, and Gus Atkinson drops Cam Green off his own bowling when Green is like on 4 or something. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be the moment, isn't it? We're going to be talking about this drop catch. There's a partnership in there, and that's done. Doesn't happen. Stokesy comes off and pulls off a Stokesy, right? He loves dramatic moments, loves to seize them as well. Bowls a 6-over spell, takes 5 for 23. Australia are done for. They've conceded a lead as well. You are very encouraged at that point that maybe England do mean business at this point. But as you pointed out in the second innings, those bowlers kind of fall flat. Stokesy once again comes on to bowl, and Travis Head smokes 4 boundaries off that over, something like that.
Yeah.
It got quite graphic at times because, of course, the way Australia smashed 205 or chased it down in 28.2 overs, it felt like England were out of ideas. In the first innings, at least, you saw how Stokesy manufactures Head's wicket. You have that fancy or elaborate third man field. You've got overlapping fielders all the way because he's like, all right, I want you to either cut me or just slam me on the full and edge out. And that's how he gets him caught out at short mid-wicket because the pull was the only option that was left. I didn't see any of that in the second innings. It felt like they were just kind of waiting for the inevitable because Head was on one.
Totally agree. So when you've got a pitch that's doing plenty, it's really tempting to go wicket hunting every ball. But when you're chasing 200, if Head does a head, you've lost. So you cannot just feed his strength and hope that that's going to be his downfall. As soon as that plan didn't work, they should have switched to another one. They didn't. And what you should do on a pitch that's got plenty is do what they did in the first innings, which is bowl in the right place over and over again and wait for the wickets to come, right? You don't have to search for the wickets. You must search for the wickets at Rawalpindi when it's a mega road. You must go wicket hunting, right? Because you then have to do stuff with the field and you have to get the wobble ball going, or you have to bowl relentlessly outside off stump to a packed offside field and wait for the bats to make a mistake. What Anderson and Broad used to do brilliantly well, particularly Jimmy, was bowl dry for hours and hours. And we're going to bowl dry. You're going to get 1 and over off me. And if you want to attack, you're going to get out. And that's what he did. And it worked, right? Because he had a brilliant cricket brain. But this lot, they go over and they saw exactly what to do. And bear in mind, they also saw exactly what not to do, because Carson Atkinson showed that you don't bomb. You don't just bowl the short ball over and over again, because Carson Atkinson smacked it everywhere, right? So what's Travis Head going to do if you do exactly the same thing? So Carson Atkinson combined for 57 runs, 4 sixes, right? And those boundaries were enormous. And so that should have told the England bowlers, what we can't do here is bomb, because it doesn't work. They tried to bomb our guys, and that's the reason why we've now got a defendable total. And it was defendable, 200. It was defendable. And instead, they just went bomb, 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 lost in 28 overs, 7 and over, thanks, bye. It's because they're idiots. And when you see them get head out in the way they got head out in the first innings by using a clever field and pandering to his ego almost by setting that field and going, go on then, Travis, you know, try and beat those fielders. And they got him out. That's what it becomes even more infuriating because, well, they have got brains in their head, but they love going for, we've got this plan for a wicket and we're sticking to it. And that's that. And when it's a low scoring game, if you don't adapt quick, you die. And they died. And it's what they've got 11 days instead of 8 or whatever it is till the second test. Do you think they're going to show any signs of brains between now and then? Do you think they'll learn?
I just feel like the only chance they've got now is that they surprise the world at, you know, get the Gabba. And if they can turn up in that pink ball test, which I don't think they can because Australia are terrific at pink ball tests and England aren't even practicing for it, I still feel that that's their last shot. If they're 2-0 down in this series, I don't see them recovering. But it ultimately comes down to a test of skill and character, because over here you need a bit of brains as well, and you need to have your tactics on point, and you need to outthink the opposition as opposed to waving the white flag when Travis Head is on a tear. And of course, we've spent a lot of time on England, and we've discussed how they've squandered an opportunity. They've been done mentally as well. It's a massive psychological blow. But it would be wrong not to, spend some minutes on Australia as well. We spoke a bit about Marnus earlier, but the guy who we really should be talking about is Travis Head, best batter in this Test match. 36 ball 50 for Travis Head, who comes in as a makeshift opener, of course, because Uzi Khawaja, he drops that Jamie Smith catch, right? When Smith is on 0 and he does his back, and that's it for Uzi Khawaja. He might not even be available for, the next Test match. And that could even be a blessing in disguise for Australia, because now they can play Bo Webster, and Bo Webster had taken, 8 wickets in the Shield game, then scored runs in a List A game. So I thought he was very unlucky to miss out in the first place, especially when you aren't sure how many overs Cam Green can bowl. So 36 ball 50, then scores his next 50 in 33 deliveries. So it's a 69 ball ton, which is the second fastest in Ashes history. Gilchrist holds the record at 57. And Gilbert Jessop, of course, the person who's always mentioned whenever there's an English batter playing really quick, he has the spot at number 3. So, yeah, this was
allegedly.
Not only the second... Yeah, allegedly. Not only the second fastest Ashes 100 of all time, but also the fastest ever fourth innings 100 in Test match history. And there's a fun anecdote that they're sharing of, like, when they know that Khawaja won't be able to bat, they're like, all right, who's going to do it? And Heady goes, should be me, shouldn't it? And then he goes out and does that. He's out-clutched Stokes and his boys, because that's the sort of tag that Stokesy loves. 123 of 83 deliveries. Hitting beautifully, not only square of the wicket, because we know he can do that really well, even behind the wicket. There's the super chat, of course, where Samit Khan says, what are the odds we see Head opening with Inglis, Webster, and Webster sliding into the middle order for Khawaja and Lyon for the next test or before the series end? Not the super chat I wanted to take, actually. There's another one on Travis Head, Varun. You've messed this up. Fox1 says, can we talk about how Head plays the ball so late that he flicks it on the offside? His bottom is loose and uses the top hand to rotate it like a flick. I would argue that the uppercut is similar. He kind of just leans back and waits for the ball to do everything for him. It was splendid. Square of the wicket, behind the wicket. At times he would punch the ball down the ground. He's a punchy cricketer as is. And yeah, you mentioned this earlier as well, that he's the sort of character who, or cricketer actually, who you really can't kind of predict form with. He won't be doing well, and then he'll turn up when, the chips are down or the stakes are high. And that's Travis Head in a nutshell for you. He is the sort of guy who will bat for an hour and knock you out of the test. And that's what he does over here with England. So yeah, what do you have to say about Trav? Because Trav ball did kind of obliterate Baz ball.
Yeah, I love Travis Head. And from a betting point of view, you're right. The form thing is very real when it comes to betting. You're like, well, I'm looking for trends and patterns all the time. The trend and pattern for Travis Head is, the thing that I personally want from all my sportsmen is the bigger the game, the better he plays, right? That he is dependable when they need him. And he doesn't care if they're playing a game that doesn't matter. And from a sports fan's point of view, I really wish that there were more Englishmen like that, right? He did, like I said earlier, all the English players wish they were Travis Head, because you want to do your blazing effort. I mean, Stokes has done it a bit when England have needed him. He's pulled stuff out of the bag, but he's been incredibly lucky every time he's done it. He should have got run out at Headingley. He should have got caught twice at Headingley. He should have got caught in the World Cup final. Shaheen going off in the T20 World Cup final when Stokes was doing his absolute best to bury England, got England over the line, really. So Stokes has done those sort of things, but been really, really lucky. Whereas Travis Head is consistent in being a complete lad, which is what the Bazball team is desperate to be seen as, right? We only want to win if everyone thinks we're great lads while we're doing it. Now, at the moment, everyone thinks they're idiots and they think they're stubborn morons. But Travis Head is awesome at cricket, but he has the magic in him on the big occasion, which he has proven consistently in his career. And to come into a tough pitch, first test of a very hyped Ashes series against a fantastic bowling attack, right? They've never performed better as a unit than they did in that first innings. And he got done by a smart plan, believe it or not. Like the only bit of brains other than the toss decision that England showed in the whole test match. He's then come out and done that. And to those same bowlers, and he smoked them everywhere. And it didn't matter where the field was by the end. You know, it was only Head that was going to get himself out. And he was scoring all around the wicket, which when he does play in the T20s and stuff, he's getting those skills where I'm not a technical guy. I'm hopeless at cricket, but he's getting those skills developing where he can manipulate the field and pick gaps. And look, they've set this field, so I'm going to hit it there, right? To simplify it a lot. Jarrod would be we're getting into all sorts of detail here, but basically he hits it where they aren't, doesn't he?
If you think about it, he probably goes out thinking, all right, you know, I'll try to do as much damage as I can over here. I don't think Australia intended to chase this down in 28.2 overs. It's just that Head never stops, right? He scores more than 60% off that target. And with respect to this, top hand, bottom hand thing that Fox Savan is mentioning over here, where he's rotating, the top hand to kind of flick the ball. I feel like ultimately his biggest strength, Travis Head's, is that he picks up length quickly. I feel like that's how he manages to do all of these things. And I'm no expert on batting that way, but at least my eye test tells me that Head knows as soon as the ball is delivered whether this is going to be, at a cuttable or pullable length or not, because that's his major strength. Square of the wicket, Travis Head is insane. And now, with cricket evolving and everything, his behind the wicket game is also flat out ridiculous.
Yeah, what he has, and in a lineup of 22 guys that have all got it, but he's got insane hand-eye coordination, like properly ridiculous. And I've seen him do it at all levels in all formats. But for a guy that does what he does when he's not playing Test for Australia, which is just whacking it for whoever he's playing for in T20s, and with very limited success in the run-up to the Ashes, to then turn up and do that shows it's not just hand-eye and being good at cricket. The brain that he's got some magic in there somewhere that he always seems to bring it when they need him.
Yeah. And then there's the celebration as well. That celebration would properly piss off the Englishman, right? Where he's just shaking his head and with that new haircut. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that keeps you up at night. Not only did he destroy us, but he kind of, did his thing as well, where sometimes he's putting his injured finger into his hand and making it look like something else. And, it's the antics as well. And, things didn't get as heated in this test match. Perhaps the only moment was when Marnus and Cas were having a moment or sharing a moment. But I don't know. This sort of stuff just keeps piling on, doesn't it?
Yeah, the thing I didn't like from England, this whatever it is brand that they want to put out, is when Head got the 100, 4 English players ran at least 30 yards to go and congratulate him. There's still a test match going on, an Ashes test match, right? Shake the guy's hand after the game, say well played, and pat him on the back and have a beer with him, no problem. But during the cricket match, don't. Try and win the game at all costs until the game is finished, and then start celebrating with the opposition if you have to. But I really didn't like that. It just shows, right, you're better than us, well done. Imagine that 30 years ago. Imagine Merv Hughes going over and slapping one of the England players on the back, Athers or somebody. Couldn't possibly happen. Glenn McGrath doing it. Couldn't possibly happen. Just pathetic. Just a bunch of idiots. And they're still annoying me now, and it happened several days ago.
Also, we must speak about the player of the match as well. No Cummins, no Hazlewood, no problem. Mitch Starc took 7 for 58 in his first bowling innings. Those are his career best figures, by the way, in a solitary innings. And it was a one-man show. Then, second innings, he comes back, takes 3 for 55. So that's 10 for 113. And in 2025, he has taken 39 wickets at less than 16 apiece. So it's his best ever year in Test cricket already, even though the West Indies series kind of helps him. It's insane how a guy who hasn't averaged below 28 in Test cricket with the ball since 2021 comes out and does this to England. And like you said, there was some fantastic bowling in there. And then England gifted some wickets as well. But this surface suited him. He kept banging it in short and he kept getting the results. And like you also mentioned, Stokesy is kind of his bunny. We all go back to the 2019 ODI World Cup where he cleans him up with that worldie. But this was also that sort of performance where Starc just comes and kind of lays, or stakes his claim, in fact, that, all right, you guys are going nowhere. I'm going to bowl you out cheaply twice and once on my very own. This was kind of, a masterful performance. And you'd have to say that a guy who's 35 years of age, cranking it up 140 plus consistently, he deserves heaps of credit.
Massively. And the fact that he did it when his two mates weren't playing. So that's what you want, isn't it? The senior guy to step up and to still be cranking it up consistently when you're 35 is a great effort with the mechanics of your body as well. So huge respect to him for doing that. I mean, I just want to read his first innings figures out again. 12.5 overs, 4 maidens, 7 for 58.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that happen? Like that? How does that happen in any game of cricket?
How has he taken his career best figures in Test cricket with the red ball and not the pink ball? That's the big question.
Yeah. Well, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. He bowled brilliantly. I do think some of his wickets were handouts. However, that was because he built his own pressure, if you know what I mean. He was like, well, he bowled that many good balls, but he just kept steaming in. A couple of the deliveries that got guys out at the Duckett LBW springs to mind. He's too good for Stokes, right? And that's a big issue series-wise, because from an Australian point of view, hopefully they get 1 or 2 of Cummins and Hazlewood back pretty quick. They can afford to then save Starc for when, at certain times to just get rid of Stokes. And if that happens for the whole series, that's a really important part of England's batting engine that's defunct, right, for the rest of the series, because it's 11 times. It's not, oh, we just did him this game. He does him all the time, and he does him across formats as well, as you said. He did him in the World Cup, didn't he? So Starc bowled great, and to do it without masses of help. Boland in the first innings looked crap. He went for over 6 and over without really ever threatening to take a wicket.
And that's where I'm thinking, all right, Scotty Boland debuts versus England at the MCG and does so well that they want to build him a statue outside the MCG. Then he travels to England and he is neutralized over there for the only time in his entire career, because that's the only time Scotty Boland has been shit. Over here, he comes and concedes 62 runs for no wickets in his first dig. And I'm like, okay, is this a constant theme? And then England are like, no, hold our beers. We're going to nick off every single ball, hand him 4 for 33 in his second bowling innings. And now Scotty Boland is back in rhythm as well. So I feel like whilst he also bowls good, England do their level best to bring him back into form.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes when you're playing England, you just get everything you want. And what you're meant to do at the elite level of sport is give the opposition exactly what they don't want. And that's tactically, fielding positions, bowling changes, batting orders even, right? Australia won that test match due to batting order changes. Now, whether they were enforced or not, it's really, lots of it is really funny. If you're a neutral here and you step back and you go, well, do you know why Khawaja had a bad back? Do you know what Khawaja did the day before the test? He played in a charity golf tournament and won it, right? He's an old man. He hurt his back playing golf. End of story. Couldn't open the batting. Apparently, Travis Head just went in and said, I'm doing it, lads. I'll get this done. You massively want that from your big characters and your great players to walk in and grab a situation by themselves and go, I'll do this. And he went out and he did it. But if you look through, right, the hope that England have got here, 2 guys performed ludicrously well for Australia. 10 wickets for Starc and a blazing 100 when no one else got 50, really, from Travis Head. Who else did anything for Australia? Anything.
Well, Doggett doesn't have a terrible debut game, I suppose. 5 wickets to his name, 2 for 27 and 3 for 51. But we know that as soon as either of those guys, Cummins or Hazlewood, are fit, Doggett's going to get the axe because Scotty Boland is surely going to play. But you're right. They've been massacred by two lads over here, and Starkey gets half of the wickets. Travis Head scores, 20% of the entire runs in this test? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, he got 20 in the first
teams?
inning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got a long list of super chats over here. Varun, if you could keep bringing them up one by one, because we're hitting the hour mark and we should be wrapping up soon. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Gabba might be the end of this series. The series might already be over, but I'm really hoping that England can kind of step up and shut us up at least after that pink ball test and maybe make some waves. Look, from a coverage perspective, it would suck if Australia are 2-0 up.
Yeah, bear in mind they were 2-0 up last time because England gave them a test, and England should have won that series 3-2. You know, without rain, England probably would have done. But this time, what the one chink of light England have got for the second test is pink ball tests. Historically, they have a session or two where you just need luck, as in you want to be bowling when it's impossible, right? When those lights come on, sometimes it just hoops like mad. Shamar will tell you. West Indies will tell you I think it was Headingley once I was there, and it just went mental when it started getting dark. If England happen to be bowling and Jofra happens to be fit, when it's mega difficult, that Australian batting lineup can fold at any time, right? That's why the series is still alive, because they ain't all that good. We've been murdered 5-0 a couple of times by really good Australian teams. The Warren McGrath one that was on their way out, they were one of the best teams ever assembled. No problem losing 5-0. Going back to the one after, when was it? 2014-15, 2015, when they won 5-0, they weren't as good, but they still had a lot of good cricketers, you know, maybe on the way out, maybe not. Ponting, Clark, all them. Now, this team's pretty crap, right, compared to them, this Australian team. They can fold. So if England manage to get that pink ball when it's hooping miles, there is still a chance. You can't ever write them off.
I just hope that Ben Stokes isn't kind of discouraged to bat first again, because that's kind of what you need to do in a pink ball test. You want to get the evening session where your bowlers are kind of cranking it up and making that ball hoop. But anyway, let's kick off the super chats. Faraz Ahmed with the first one. He says, Brent McCullum in his post-match interview told that 200 was defendable on that pitch. Surely they don't believe that when the fourth innings is played on day 2 with no cracks opening till later on day 4, like India versus Australia last year. So yes, I feel like for us, I kept saying this throughout the test that, you know, people are going off on the Perth surface, whereas a lot of these wickets were rubbish wickets. 19 wickets fell due to the batters not being able to adapt or just playing stupid cricket. And also, these sort of surfaces tend to flatten out. Right, we saw it at Lords as well, by the way. That surface flattens out, and South Africa chased 280 odd versus Australia to lift the mace. So that's how this sort of surface is different from, let's say, Kolkata, where you've got a day 4, day 5 pitch at the start. The ball is turning square. There's uneven or variable bounce. That's entirely different from this sort of surface. But surely it had to flatten out at some point, and Travis Head showed us. So yeah, it's a bit of a brain dead comment.
I mean, it's hard to draw huge conclusions from a pitch where we have a sample of 5 test matches, right, beforehand. It's not like we can just say it was the old Perth, this is Optus, right? We don't really know. Yes, it probably would have, and it looked like it did, get easier to bat as the game went on. But England were so relentlessly shooting themselves in the foot, shin, knee and hip that we'll never know. We'll never know how easy it would have got, because they bowled dumb rather than badly. They just had a really errant plan and stuck with it, and they got Travis Headed in 2 days. So I don't know, like I don't know what it would have played like on day 4, but England can't set out to decide how to play tactically on day 4 when it's extremely unlikely that the way they play it ever gets there. So the thing is, England ended up having kind of what they wanted, which is a shootout. Right, a toe-to-toe. It's a boxing match with no defending. Do they call it milling in the army, where you just stand there and you're not allowed to defend yourself and you just bat? That's what England want, right? They want to stand in the middle of the ring, go toe-to-toe. No one ever dodges, no one ever blocks, and we'll see who knocks the other one out first. England got what they wanted, and they got knocked out by Travis Head. End of.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's another super chat by Faraz Ahmed who asks, surely England should have followed India's template last year in the second innings, get bowlers into their third spells with high leave percentage of both KL and Jaiswal, and capitalize on an easing pitch late into day 2 and day 3. Did you just say high leave percentage in a team where Ben Duckett doesn't leave anything and Zach Crawley loves to edge out? Look, like I said, 13 wickets fall on day 2. A lot of those are just England batters driving the ball and edging out, and I feel like that's on them. Sure, I'm not going to discredit Australia's bowlers over here. Scotty Boland is, one of those guys who can be metronomic, and he can force you to kind of do that. But once you've made the mistake, twice you've made the mistake, you need to, as Rob said, just make that mind up that no more. We're going to ensure that we have somewhat of a target over here because, the surface is getting better, and the Atkinson and Cast partnership kind of proves that for me. If they're scoring runs, then anyone can.
Totally. It makes me think, right, of a test match that happened the other day. Curtis Campher played against Bangladesh, right? Very little experience of playing against Bangladesh away in test matches. He ended up, Ireland got beat, which isn't a surprise. He faced 259 balls and he was not out at the end of that test match. That used to be something that, so this whole England shtick, right? This whole setup is we're big, strong lads is basically what it is. And we're alphas and we do all this. They're actually everything against that, right? They're so far away from what they think they are. It's a joke. So what it used to be in test match cricket, all the knocks I remember growing up where someone was a big, strong lad was somebody that toughed it out when the conditions were against them and stuck around and hung in for the draw and got through the tough conditions and got bombed a few times, got hit on the ribs and on the head and on the arm and all that, which is kind of what Smith and Labuschagne did a bit in the first innings. They just getting whacked, didn't they? You tough it out when it's tough and then you cash in when it's easy. And England try and cash in the whole bloody test match. Every ball they're trying to cash in. And so they're nicking off. They play the comment there about leave percentages. They don't do it right. And they've got 4 guys in the middle order. All right. So let's say you're going to stick with Duckett and Crawley, and Duckett's done brilliantly well. And Crawley has got compromising pictures of loads of people in the ECB. So he has to play, right? So that's fine. So Crawley and Duckett are going to play and they're going to whack everything. Sure. You've got Joe Root, right? One of the best batters of all time. He knows how to dig deep and play long innings. He is explicitly told by his bosses that he's not going to do that, right? Joe Root's, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty confident his caught percentage since the start of the last Ashes is now under 50, right? It's like 70 for normal bats. 66 to 70 is normally in that range because he keeps scooping and ramping and running down the pitch and he's been stumped and all this sort of stuff, right? So Joe Root doesn't do that anymore. Ben Stokes can't do it because Starc gets him out all the time. Brook doesn't do it. Pope doesn't do it. So no one's there to stick it out. So, and here's the latest chat here from Foxer One again. All they had to do was like hanker down for 1 hour, it says here. Sure, but they don't do it. That has gone from England's repertoire, right? The ability to play tough. And that's what tough guys are meant to do, right? When it's tough, you stick in there. And you do it for your mates and you do it for your country and all that. That's totally gone. They're just a bubble of idiots who have now got to the point where they're actively shooting themselves in the head, as in not practicing at pink ball before this second test, just so they can say to the media, we're not doing what you tell us. It's like a petulant little kid is what this England setup is. And it ain't going to change.
Fox Savan over here also after saying that all England had to do was hanker down for an hour. He says the Starc had one spell in him and he came in when he smelled blood, just survive 1 hour. I would take that one step further. Let's survive the day, right? Yeah. We've lost some wickets over here. Let's just bat out today and we'll think straight once again tomorrow. Maybe we'll get those sessions once again where we can attack, right? Like it's not like we have to shut up shop forever, but at times you need to kind of weather the storm as well. It's not always disruptive cricket. Sometimes you need to kind of play certain spells out and then you can maybe have your moment the next morning. But we never got a next morning. It was done. Stokesy was shell-shocked. Anyway, we've got some more super chats over here. This is a fun one. Kaushal asks you, Rob, which was worse, India today versus England day before?
Well, that's a whole other podcast, isn't it? What's happened to India in test matches? Now, there's a man that comes out and says arrogant things in the media for India too, Gambhir, right? And I don't want to say too much against Gambier because he's probably got a team of people waiting to crush anybody that says silly things about him. However, right, they've come out and they've got rid of a lot of the old guard one way or the other. There's a lot of similarities with England here, you know. England had Anderson and Broad, who could have easily played in this series if things had gone slightly differently management-wise over the last 18 months. Gambier's come in and has definitely put his stamp on the side one way or the other. But this is a team that lost 0-3 to New Zealand at home, which you're talking about odds is at least 500 to 1 that those three that happens 0-3. And they were chucking test matches in the bin like nobody's business. India, they have the best all-format bowler by a country mile in world cricket in Jasprit Bumrah. They've still got a spin tank that everybody else would want. They've got Rishabh Pant, who's ridiculous. They've got Jaiswal, who could be anything, all formats. Like he's unreal, and has done mad stuff to all manner of teams. And if you look at them on paper, they're ludicrously good. So why are their results so bad? So which is what it's I think what's gone out of the game is the ability for teams to reassess test matches during the test match. And they go, oh, look, they got nearly 500. Maybe batting for time is all we can do in the first innings, and then we see where we are. Maybe a draw is quite a good result because it's a short series again. Maybe a draw is quite a good result here, and we can think about how we're going to proceed. Instead, it's shot out for 200. Oh dear, we're going to lose. There's so much of it now, and I didn't watch it. They all got caught, didn't they? India in the first inning.
I watched all of it, and I actually think India's performance today was worse just because they're at home. The Guwahati deck is flat. The bounce is consistent, and they got done by Marco Janssen, who kept, bouncing them out. So on that sort of surface, you expect India to score almost as much runs as South Africa. And, maybe the strategy should be that we'll bat for so long that we'll give ourselves 2 sessions at the end to maybe, after posting a 50 or 100 run lead, we can get South Africa out. But they just kind of fold and they throw away their wickets and felt like they were tired because they were fielding for 151.1 overs. But I still feel that as bad as England were, what India have managed at Guwahati was just flat out ridiculous. But you can't even blame the pitch this time, right? And Gambhir, maybe, sure, he could have brought in Sarfaraz or Karun Nair to bat ahead of Nitish Kumar Reddy or someone. But still, there are issues. And when you've got that sort of guy who's talking a big talk as your coach and your team is in transition, sometimes that can be counterproductive. And I feel like India are going through a bit of that. But then again, I'd rather keep shut, right? Right, Rob? Maybe that's the smart thing to do.
Well, I think you're well placed to answer the question because you watched it and I didn't. My time zones are a bit messed up. I watched the Nepal League today, which was... Mark Watt got 114 not out of 44 balls in that. So that tells you as much as you need to know about that competition.
Yeah, so PG back is saying Himanish said Gambhir came in and immediately his data stuff was out of picture in red ball. We know Himanish is a friend of the podcast and he is a super skilled and talented person. Imagine what the relationship between an analyst and Gautam Gambhir would be. The analyst would go, hey, Gauti, we need to do this and take 20 wickets. And he's like, so you're saying I played Nitish Kumar Reddy at 8. And Akshay Patel at 9. Let's overload the team with all-rounders. I mean, none of this shit makes sense, but this will be another podcast, guys. We have to kind of cull this conversation here. What else do we have over here? We've got Samit Khan once again. This is the earlier super chat where he asks, what are the odds we see head opening with Inglis and Webster sliding into the middle order for Khwaja and Lyon for the next test or by series end? I think Gaza plays. You're not going to see Lyon out of the side even if it's a pink ball test, but Webster should come in for Khwaja, and that way maybe you can kind of chance your arm with Head just opening, in Brisbane, but maybe not long term. I still don't want to move him away from 5.
No, I think batting orders should always be, movable, flexible is the word. They should always be flexible because when you have mad conditions, as we could easily get in the pink ball, it's horses for courses, right? Sometimes you want the guys there that are going to stick it out, and other times you want the guys there that are going to hoof it. And so maybe there's a time where, no one's talking about Mitch Marsh, which surprises me. He certainly brings it against England. he might be a very valuable asset in this series. You know, he's in very, very good hitting form, isn't he? So if you do that, maybe you could bring Mitch Marsh into the middle order. They seem to want overs, which is why Cam Green's a certainty. I mean, he bowled another load of stupid from England. Was he came on and bowled, Pope was like, here's the valve, right? Here's the pressure valve. I can just smash the living daylights out of Cameron Green. And he got 10 off 4 balls or something, and then he missed a straight one and got out, right? That sums up the test match for England. Yeah, it might happen. English got 100, didn't he, the other day opening? It's worrying for England that there are capable backups. I mean, I wouldn't have picked Khawaja for this series. I'm not sure Bo Webster's the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but you don't need to go looking too far for answers when England are so incapable of even reading the bloody question.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I just think Webster should come in because he was in terrific form with the ball and with the bat, and he hasn't done much wrong for Australia when he's wearing the baggy green. And 8 wickets in a Shield game certainly suggests that. And he's a tall lad, so maybe he can extract some bounce as well. But yeah, there are no correct answers in the sense that Weatherald is still a newbie. Marnus has still only scored 1 score, right? And Khawaja, I don't think he's going to make it. But let's see. Let's see how Australia kind of manage things. In the interim, it's fine to open with Head, but Head's value at number 5 is immense. I think you don't kind of tinker with that long term.
Agreed.
All right. Blue Eagles asks, South Africa the only good test team? I mean, every team is flawed. That's why the results have been, all the test match results in the last 2 years have been maniacal. South Africa have holes as well. Their batting order can be fragile at times. But yes, right at the moment, I would say that maybe, you know, Australia, South Africa, India, all flawed, but they're probably that top bracket of teams, would you say?
Yeah, they're the best team at the moment because India, whilst they are, in my head, India are the best team on paper, they're not performing at test match level. And they've got all their players available. They're not performing at test match level. And South Africa are overperforming. They seem to have got the spin right now, which is something they haven't done in my lifetime, is they've got the spin right. They've also developed lower order batting. When you've got Muthusamy, who's top batting all the time, and you've got Marco Jansen is scored 90 odd the other day. The thing that South Africa have got is they don't have 1 or 2 guys that they're always looking to. They've got people that can come from anywhere. Like Rabada's not playing in this one, is he?
No, he hasn't played in the entire series.
And Rabada can win you a game from anywhere, and he doesn't play, and they're not dead. And you look through the names, and you're like, Tristan Stubbs has never struck me as a test match number 3, and nor has Mulder, right? But they seem to be doing all right.
Are you sure about Wian? Because he could have broken Lara's record, eh?
He should have done. Well, that's another podcast. Like, why the hell didn't you do that? I absolutely would have done, and I would have told all my teammates to do it. But they've got runs all the way down. Like Maharaj, steady enough, number 11. 2 proper spinners now, him and Harmer, who's been out of Test cricket because of, you know, stupid cold pack rules or whatever. They're a good cricket team, South Africa, and they've developed a knack of winning, which is quite difficult to do. But I think this is something I've never said about South Africa before, is they're playing smarter than the teams that they're coming up against, which is why they're winning a lot. So I think they are the best team, and they probably are the only good one right now. But you match the names up, 11 against 11. I'm not going to do it now, but do it yourself. Yeah. India come out way on top.
Yep.
And I mean, they're getting tough.
Harmer, of course, has been in terrific form, both in Pakistan and India. And, you know, finger spinner in India, a lot of left-handed batters, show that's a separate conversation. But Jansen has been terrific with bat and ball. Muthusamy has been amazing this cycle. 11 for versus Pakistan, then an unbeaten match-winning 89 versus Pakistan, and now this 109 versus India. And that guy is born on the same day and same year as me, so I'm taking part of this credit. The only difference is Durban and Rawalpindi. But yeah, South Africa are a good test team, but still not invincible, still have holes. Tell that to Temba Bavuma, though, because he'll disagree. He's unbeaten as South Africa's test captain thus far. It's been, 11 test matches, and it will be 12 after this one's done. Blue Eagles with another super chat, which is the last one for the day. He says, this is directly, a question for you, Rob. Asks you, what did you make of the Sanju Jadeja trade? Is either side a contender now, and is India's T20 team not as invincible as has been made out?
I still think India's T20 team, to answer the second bit first, India's T20 team is a lot better than the rest internationally when they get their best 11 on the park. But
they don't select their best team.
Yeah.
They have
So
that issue.
So right, they don't, and I don't mind it in all these bilaterals that pop up. Just trying different stuff, because when World Cups come around, you then know whether players can fit certain holes or whatever. Injuries are always going to happen with the relentless scheduling and all that. I think India are pretty smart T20 wise. They won the last one, didn't they? When they beat South Africa, they're the team to beat. Yeah, I don't think they're invincible by any stretch. Nobody is in T20, but their win percentage is a lot higher than the others, and that isn't luck or coincidence. It's because they do loads of stuff right.
I do feel that India, if they pick the right squad for their home T20 World Cup, and they're not like just kind of wasting Jaiswal, for instance, I feel like they can be as close to as invincible as possible. But I don't trust them to pick the right squad because they haven't done it thus far.
I agree. The top three is an important one to get right, isn't it? And Abhishek is now a certainty. Yeah. And I mean, if you had Abhishek and Jaiswal against you every time, that's you're uphill, aren't you? If you got them two. Whereas if you've got Gill stroking it about and being 20 not out after the power play, maybe not. Because Abhishek can be 55 not out after the power play sometimes. The Sanju thing, right, which was rumored for a long time and has now happened. Is Sam Curran involved in that deal? Because I think he is.
I think he is as well.
So Rajasthan have big issues. They are not solved by Jadeja playing for them. So Rajasthan's issues are they don't have any batting depth at all. Jadeja will give them the batting depth that they used Ashwin for a fair bit. That guy that gets the boring 18 off 16 in the middle to allow Hetmeyer's entry point to be delayed, right? That's what Jadeja's job's going to be now. Whereas he's probably done his best work when he scored 37 off the last over for Chennai. That guy. You want him hoofing at the end. Yeah, he makes their batting a lot better. But how much of a hold is Sanju leaving? So they haven't sold anything, bringing Jadeja in. They need it. He's nothing more than a containing 7.5 and over spinner now in IPL. Jadeja. He's not going to rip through teams anymore. He's not that guy. I don't think Rajasthan become a contender because they're not net much better, Jadeja for Sanju, and the other way around. And if you're asking me to predict Chennai, I cannot do it. I've tried doing it for 15 IPLs or whatever it is, and I cannot do it. Like, they fell into being a good team at the end of the IPL by pure luck, pure accident. They had loads of people injured. Gaikwad got injured. They'd set up to just block the first 12 overs of every game and hope that the spinners won them. And then they ended up with the likes of Matre, Urvil Patel, guys that belt it, who look really good. And they got Brevis in, right? Who's probably the guy that everybody would have wanted if they redid the auction 2/3 of the way through the season. Putting Sanju in that team makes the batting stronger. Does it make them contend? Chennai are always contenders because if they want to, they can create an absolute ragger at the Cheap Hawk and everyone's dead. Whether they do that or not, don't know. Whether Chennai will be... Dhoni might play again. No idea. It's going to be fun, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Chennai are the richer of the two teams after this trade because let's just call Sanju a way better Devon Conway. I think that's fair. Right?
That's fair, yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, like Rob said, any fool would predict Chennai's season. It could either end with the championship or they could finish 7th, right? Like, you never know. But anyway, that's a wrap on these super chats. Thank you for taking out the time, Rob. This has gone way longer than I thought it would, but I hope you feel lighter after, saying all that you had to say about England.
Thank you for letting me vent, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone for your interactions and your super chats. Just a quick reminder, you can go to goodareas.co and bookmark that webpage. That can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the fun work that we do as part of our team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. And as I said at the start, all of our shows and podcasts are powered by our supporters on Patreon. You can become one of them by going to Patreon/Good Areas Podcast. That way you can enjoy ad-free content, you can talk to us exclusively, and you can give us podcast recommendations as well. So we will see you soon on another show. That's all for today. Have a good one, and goodbye.
Ross Taylor couldn't see at night or when the clouds were in. Eventually, he had to see an eye specialist who would fix his eyesight. In the 2 years before the change, he still averaged more than 50 in international cricket. The top level of batting talent can basically see in the dark. That is who we are talking about in our new book, The Art of Batting. Head over and order your copy today. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.